Hi, everybody. It's September 29th, and I wanted to talk to you today about the assignment that we just did with credible sources. I made some upgrades because I found out that it was hard for other people to understand what I was looking for. So I made an upgrade that I think will help you a lot. So if you go to your classwork tab and you open up assignment number 8, you'll see that I added something in all caps. That means it's important. It says, don't turn this in until you paste the table on the green, red, and yellow slides. Well, what do I mean by that? If you go into your credible sources assignment that you were supposed to fill out, you have some slides and some of them are green, red, and yellow. So what I want you to do is to put this table on your green, red, and yellow slides. So there's already going to be some stuff there. If it's stuff that you had that you're going to need to use to fill out this table, move it off to the side. If it's a white box or something, you're going to need to delete it. Sometimes it's hard to delete, see if there's another box on top of that white box. If there's a text box pasted on top of the other box, you have to delete the text box on top first before you'll be able to delete the other box. So you want to clean it up so it looks like this. And then you're going to go back into the assignment and you're going to say, well, where am I going to get this table? Well, you're going to find the table right here. You'll see that I put in another Google slide that gives you the table that you're going to need to put on your green, red, and yellow. It's right here. It says analysis of credibility. So I'm going to highlight the whole table. Then I'm going to hold down the control key and hit C. That's how you copy things. Then I'm going to go back into the slide and I'm going to click my cursor in my empty space I made for it. And I'm going to hold down the control key and hit V. And that will paste it. So you're going to do that for your green slide, your red slide, and your yellow slide. You can leave your screenshots that are hyperlinked here. And if you want to, the words that you wrote about why it's credible, you can push over to the side because they might have some information that will help you. Again, Control C is to copy and Control V is to paste. Now let me show you how you're going to go about doing this. Say I found an article on the New York Times News. Okay, I'm going to write that I got it on a .com, which tells me nothing about its credibility. So a .com, a .org, a .net, all of those are kind of neutral. They're neither credible nor not credible. Okay, if, however, you have a .gov, it implies credibility. Okay. .edu will also imply credibility, or .mil or whatever. So tell me, either it tells you nothing about the credibility or it implies that it's credible because it comes from a government source. Then you're going to write the author. Well, the author was either like Miriam Brown, a journalist, or maybe the author was Mrs. Brown, a professor. You got it off an edu, okay, which is credible, okay? All right, you might run into this where your author is Associated Press. What is that? Associated Press is a news source where journalists can sell their articles to the Associated Press, and the Associated Press can sell them to lots of different newspapers. So lots of times you'll find that happening. The Associated Press is the author. So also it might be that you came from a website, you can't find an author. And so you're going to put the name of the website, NASA, or maybe it's accountability convention or whatever. You're right. And then you're going to have to look up, you're going to have to Google them and find out what makes them credible. They aren't credible, or they are a well-respected charity site. Okay, then I'm going to put the date. It was done on September 22nd, 2020, which is current. Okay, and it was reviewed by, it was an Associated Press article, so I'm going to say that it was reviewed by Associated Press, and I got it off of and CNN's editors. If it's a newspaper site, you're going to write that it was reviewed by those editors. Now, which means it is fairly credible. Now, if you have something that is in a peer-reviewed journal, peer-reviewed academic journal, which implies credibility. Okay, then you're going to say whether they cited their sources. They did not cite sources, so that doesn't help me determine credibility. Okay, most newspaper articles aren't, and you're going to tell me the author's bias. The author is against eating chocolate. Okay, whatever. Okay, so that's how you're going to fill in that table. Make sure you fill it in on all 3 of your slides, and I think that'll help you start to do a better job of analyzing credibility. Okay, now on to the next thing. So I want you to do that, and I also want you to improve your paragraphs in a specific way. I want you to start citing your sources. Now, it's really important to cite your sources because if you don't, it can be considered plagiarism. I know several young people from Jerome who plagiarized their senior papers, and they were not able to walk at graduation, and they got a 0 on their senior paper and had to redo it. So it's a very serious offense if you do that. I also listen to a true crime podcast that I love, but right now they are being sued because they borrowed the work of some of the newspaper journalists, and the journalists are saying, hey, you didn't come up with that information, I did, and you didn't give me any credit, so I'm going to sue you. So it's very, very bad to sue. One thing I wanted to show you is that it's really easy for teachers. Most of the time we can tell if you are plagiarizing just by the tone of your voice. Most students speak in a certain way, and that's different from how adults speak. And so if you start using big words that I know you don't understand, or putting sentences together in a way that is unusual for you, that is going to give me a hint that maybe those weren't your words, that you were plagiarizing. So the other thing I can do nowadays is when I make an assignment, I can check this little plagiarism box here, and that will help search Google for anything that is just like what you wrote. And I'll be able to tell if you lifted it right off of somebody else's work. So even if you change 2 or 3 words, it's still considered plagiarism. You actually need to summarize it in your own words. And I like a summary better than a quote, simply because when you guys quote things, it makes your paragraph a little bit choppy, because you'll be talking student, 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 and then bam, academaniac language where you've got a whole bunch of jargon and big words, and then you go back to talking student, and it's really kind of jarring, and the paragraph doesn't flow as well. So I prefer that you summarize it in your own words because it makes your paragraphs more readable. And unless the author said something in a really profound way, don't use quotes. Just summarize what they had to say, but still give them credit for their thoughts and ideas, because even if you don't use their same words, you still need to give them credit. And here's how you're going to do this. Now, as you know, the rules for how to format your citations, how to give credit to your authors, change regularly. So you're going to need to check Purdue's website. They are one of the best universities, and they give you a lot of resources for how to cite your sources. And it does change. It'll probably be different by the time you guys go to college. So that's why I'm teaching you to check Purdue's website rather than teaching you the exact rules, because the rules will change. In fact, they changed midway through last year. So this is how you put together a paragraph. You're going to put your topic sentence, and then you're going to use your signal phrases. A signal phrase is something like, according to Landon Marler, or Landon Marler reported that, or Landon Marler said that. It's just words that tell your reader that you're no longer using your own ideas. You're telling them what Landon Marler had to say. So for a Times News article, you might say, the so-and-so journalist from the Times News reported that blah, 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 blah. So that's called a signal phrase. It's just some words that you put together to let your reader know that you're no longer using your own words, that you are now transferring into the ideas and thoughts of somebody else. So then you want to put in, make sure you have specific details, very specific facts. Now, in this assignment, in order to do specific facts, you may want to explain the idea first. So have a sentence about the reason or the idea, and then provide some specific facts to back that up. So the detail might require more than one sentence. It might require two. You might also need some transition sentences in between your topic sentence and your specific facts. So the paragraphs I'm looking for aren't 4 sentences long, okay? You're going to at least need 1 or 2 for your topic sentence and transition. You're going to need 2 for each fact, so we're up to 6 now, okay? And then you'll probably need at least 2 for your conclusion. So you need to be at least 8 sentences long, okay? So after you share your specific facts, then you need to do one more thing in order to cite your sources, and it's called an in-text citation. Citation. And it looks like this. Let me show you how to make one. I'll make an in-text citation down here for you. You put a comma, and then you put the author's last name. So Marler. And then you put another comma and the year, 2020. Okay? Or if it's the Associated Press, then you're going, and it's a corporate author like NASA. Maybe it's, then you put NASA, comma, and the year. If it's more than one author, if it's Brown, and Rodriguez, comma, okay? So that's how that would look, comma, 2020. So it's a little bit longer. Okay, if you have 3 authors, if Mr. Rodriguez and Mrs. Justice and I all did an experiment and we wrote up our experiment, then we would be Brown, E-T-A-L. So the authors are going to be listed according to who did the most work on it. So you want to make sure you put the first author listed and then just put E-T-A-L. It's kind of like an et cetera. So Brown, E-T-A-L, 2020. So that's what you do if you have more than 2 authors. So those are the different ways that you do an in-text citation. And you're going to write your period. So you might say, teachers from Jerome Middle School found that students are more motivated when you get them candy. And then before you put the period after candy, you're going to put your little in-text citation there. Parentheses, Brown, E-T-A-L, period, comma, and 2020, parentheses, and then you put your period for the end of your sentence, right like that. So that's an in-text citation. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to do your conclusion. Your conclusion needs to expound upon what you've already told them, okay? Don't just give me a repeat of your topic sentence or you're only going to get half credit, okay? You need to explain it a little bit more, okay? Therefore, I think all teachers should be given a budget for candy that they can pass out to their classes when they're teaching boring things. Okay, tell me exactly, so what? So what? You've now told me that kids like candy, so what should I do about it? Make sure you explain that in the conclusion. Now, if we go back to our assignment here, we're looking at fair elections. Let's just go into it. The paragraph that I asked you guys to write, you are going to have 2 separate details. So you're going to need, like for this one, it needs to have an in-text, a signal phrase and an in-text citation. Then you're going to do a transition and tell people that you're going to do the other side. You're going to need a signal phrase and an in-text citation. You'll probably also need a sentence that explains the fact that you're going to cite, and that can come either before or after your reasoning, okay? And then in the end, your conclusion, you can come to either choose one of these, you can kind of talk about a compromise, Anyway, I want you to kind of pick a side and say what needs to be done. Do you agree with this one, or do you have some sort of compromise? Your conclusion needs to explain that. So it's probably going to be 2 or 3 sentences long. So like I said, you need to have between 8 to 10 sentences in order for this paragraph to work. And you need to it needs to contain at least 2 signal phrases and at least 2 in-text citations. You're going to sandwich all of your facts in between a signal phrase and an in-text citation. So this paragraph is going to end up looking kind of like a double-decker burger. So we're going to move our conclusion down here, and we're going to paste our second patty, which is our second fact. Okay, it's going to end up looking like this double-decker burger. Okay, so you've got another, but wait a minute. You're also going to need a signal phrase before that. So let's put our signal phrase on our double-decker burger. Okay, we're going to want this to go back there. Take our in-text citation, bring it to the front, okay? And then you're going to want another one of these cheeses to go there, okay? So now you've got what we have here is our double-decker burger, because we got 2 facts, and they're both sandwiched in between our signal phrase. You know, each of your facts is going to be sandwiched in between the signal phrase and the in-text citation. Okay. I actually wanted to bring that forward. Okay. All right. Let's bring this one. Okay, so now we have our double-decker burger. We've got to make sure each of our facts are sandwiched between the signal phrase and the in-text citation. Okay, so let's go ahead and show you how this works. So this is my bun here. Okay, that's my topic sentence. I've got it is important to learn everyone's names. According to Dale Carnegie, that's my signal phrase, saying someone's name is the first step towards becoming your friend, and you should say it often to your conversations. This is my in-text citation, Carnegie, comma, 1920, and then my period. Make sure the period comes after your in-text citation. On the other hand, using someone's name too often might get annoying. See how I transition between my phrases? For example, in the movie What About Bob, produced by Laura Ziskin, now I've given credit to Laura Ziskin here, that is my in-text citation. The doctor's patient continuously uses his name and annoys him endlessly. Okay, the name, instead of being sweet, starts to irritate the doctor. Okay, now I've got my in-text citation, Ziskin, 1991, period. Okay, and then I've got my conclusion here, second bun. Okay, and thus, although it is important to learn names and use them often, you really need to make sure you don't go overboard and repeat the person's name more than once or twice in the conversation. So what I've done here is I've got a pro, using somebody's name a lot during the conversation, a con, and I've come to some sort of a neutral stance where I'm interpreting it more. You will see that this is not exactly like this topic sentence, but it's not totally different either, okay? It still talks about the importance of learning people's names. It harkens back to the topic sentence, but it takes it a little bit farther and a little bit deeper. So that's where you get an advanced conclusion. I hope that helps you to improve your assignment. Tomorrow is going to be a Socratic seminar. Then Thursday we will have a work day, so I can help you with this. But if you get it turned in early, you will get class craft points, and it will make it more likely that I will give you some free advice on how to fix your papers. So hope that helps. Bye.